everyone, it's Michelle with Essential Advantages again for another week of talking about something that will help you in life. And what I thought about talking today was the subject of depression, because I know it's out there and I feel like there are people that need to hear it a little bit about it a little bit more, and maybe not help them, make them not feel so alone. I think for a long time it was an overlooked condition and not taken so seriously by some, but I think lately there's more awareness being spread about it. So I want to also go over the different types of depression. I'm going to share with you my story of what I went through personally with depression and some tips on how to possibly get out of depression. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, so talk to your doctor, of course. That trumps anything that I see on here. But this is just for some people that it may help. I just never know. It may help somebody. So the types of depression out there are major depression, or I guess clinical depression. There's persistent depressive disorder. There's bipolar disorder. There's SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder. Postpartum depression, psychotic depression, situational depression, and atypical depression. So those are the depressions that I've seen that are out there. And I believe that everyone's journey with depression is different. There are no two journeys the same. Everyone has different experiences, and the stories are going to all be different. So I cannot speak for all the depressions that I just mentioned, but the ones that I've suffered were from situational depression and also SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Mostly I'm going to focus on is the situational depression and the seasonal affective disorder that has affected me, and what I did to change that and how I got out of it. Okay, so I was 20 years old. I was still living at home and engaged to a guy I was excited to start a life with and move out of New York. I was in college to become a teacher and had a babysitting job on the side to save up money for our future. He was going to college to get his law degree and eventually become a lawyer. Times are good in my family, and I even went to a trip to Aruba together and made some great memories. And then eventually, things started to change. My dad started not to feel very well, and in February of 1996, he decided to finally go to a doctor. That's when he found out that he had stage 4 cancer. That is when my sunshiny days started to turn gray. He decided to do chemotherapy, and it was awful for him. I would cry in my room scared about what the near-term future would look like for just my mom and I. I was grateful that I had my fiance to lean on for support, and it did. It kept me sane. But the days were still scary, dark, and dismal. My dad was getting skinnier and skinnier. After 7 months of being diagnosed, he passed away in our living room because he wanted to be home when he passed. So I was beyond sad. Life wasn't going to be the same without him. It was the whole life that I had lived, all those years he was in it, and it was something different for me. I've never experienced anything like this before. So around that same time, when he passed, my fiance started getting a little weird on me, like showing less interest and becoming less and less talkative and not just being himself anymore. I knew things in our relationship were changing, but I didn't want to face it, and I just tried to ignore it until it all fell apart. He broke up with me, and I no longer had him for support, and our dream of starting a life together basically went out the window. So the two closest men in my life were gone. The days went from gray to black. I started to feel so alone. My mom already was sad, and we were muddling through the months together. I remember driving to college and literally crying out loud in my car. I didn't care if people saw me crying from other cars at the stoplight. That was not a concern at all. It actually happened a lot. I felt like I couldn't relate to anyone, not even friends. Their lives were so different, I felt at the time. They had boyfriends. They were just going to parties and still just enjoying life. I didn't socialize with anyone at college, and I was just in my own little world. So I couldn't understand how people can be happy. And there was a bit of disconnect there for me for quite some time. Every day was just so dark. It was like black almost. I also believe that during those months I suffered with SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder. It was cold. I was living in New York, so it was cold. During those months, we got less sun during the days. The holidays sucked that year. I didn't care about them at all. In fact, it made me feel less than because all I saw were holiday commercials of people and families gathered together and being happy all together. And man, thank God Facebook wasn't around back then. I just, whew, all the stuff that goes on Facebook. So I would start to think, what's the point of living? I told my mom my thoughts of not wanting to continue living, and she started crying and saying, no, no, you cannot do this to me, Michelle. And I felt so bad. I then considered how she would be without me. And that right there made me still want to live and not do that to her. That really hit me hard of, okay, what would happen to my mom? How would she feel? Why would I do this to her? It really resonated with me after we had that conversation and she cried out to me. I also called the Christian helpline and they gave me hope with the story of Jesus. My perspective started to change, and as time passed, spring rolled around and the weather started getting warm and sunnier. Day by day, it got a little easier and easier and things started to turn around. Did not happen overnight. Now this may or may not resonate with you depending on where you are, but I hope some of it helps in knowing that you are not alone. Okay, like I said, every story is different. This was my story. Okay, it lasted about maybe 6 months of the whole start to finish of when my dad died. I still miss my dad, but I am not suicidal. I'm a lot happier. Things picked up a lot. So things that may help you. So number 1, join a support group or talk to someone. If you don't have anyone to talk to, then call the suicide prevention line. I have included it down below in the description. So you should not be going through this alone. Okay, reach out to someone. Number 2, think and focus on all the good things in your life. Count all of your blessings. Just because you're in a dark space right now does not mean it's going to be that way forever, even though it probably feels like it. And I know that's easier said than done. It really is, because when you're in the thick of it, some of this advice may just feel like I'm just going to throw it out the window because it's not going to help. But for those of you who think it may and you're willing to try, give it a go. Gratitude does a lot. Number 3, let your feelings out. Do not keep them bottled in. Cry, scream, punch a pillow if you have to. Like I said, I would cry in the car really loud. I didn't care what people were thinking of me. Most of them didn't know me anyway, so but it helped release some pent-up tension. It really did, and that may help you as well. I heard this can also reduce your own distress. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Crying may help lift your spirit and make you feel better through release of oxytocins and endorphins. So it can improve mood, known as the feel-good chemicals. Number 4, music can help you through it as well. Don't disregard music, okay? I have seen many comments from people on social media telling big artists that their music got them through some very dark times. It's a possibility, okay? It may or may not resonate with you, but if it does, listen to the music, okay? Number 5, as hard as it may be, take care of yourself as much as you possibly can. Eat healthy, get your nutrients, and get outside in nature and get some exercise, maybe by walking, running. Just being out in the sun instead of a dark, gloomy room can do wonders. Number 6, get in touch with your God or your spiritual higher being. I'm Christian, so prayer helps. Know that He loves you for you. Okay? Be aware that you were created for a purpose. Once I started thinking like that, it helped. It really did. Number 7, if you can, take a vacation or volunteer. Get a different perspective on life. Okay, sometimes that can help shift our mindset, because a lot of it, I think, comes from our mindset as well. Number 8, take it day by day. Take baby steps. Celebrate the little victories, such as getting out of bed or even taking a shower. Put one foot in front of the other and feel good about it. Say, look, I got out of bed today. This is huge. I didn't do that yesterday. So those little victories will go a long way. Looking back, I'm so glad to still be here. I am now moved on and I'm in a beautiful state. I'm in sunny Arizona, which helps my seasonal affective disorder go away, because there's a lot of sunshine here in Arizona. Still a little bit chilly at times in the winter, but so I've got my sweater. But anyway, I'm now married and I have been blessed with 2 beautiful little boys, and I have a thriving business that I never thought I would have. So as time went on, I've learned more about myself and my perspective has become much healthier. My perspective on life. I'm really glad I didn't go the other way, honestly, because I wouldn't be here today. And life is something to be lived and to be enjoyed. And if you can get through the dark times and get to the other side, it'll be so worth it. So over 23 years have passed, and through being introduced to personal development and strengthening my faith, I feel much mentally stronger and prepared for such tragedy. Not that I welcome it, but when you grow personally and mature and understand life better, I think maybe things can be a little bit easier. Okay, just a little bit easier. It can be. So if you got any comfort or value from this video, of which I really hope you did, please give me a like and comment below if you too have overcome depression and what has helped you to get out of it. Because there's somebody out there that may need to hear your comment that maybe I have not included in my video, and so sharing is caring. So for more essential advantages every week, please sure not to miss out by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. I love you guys. Until next week, live well.